Hello, I'm just going to go through some misconceptions in regards to Christianity quotes, specifically what quotes you can use and where you can use them. I've only picked 3 quotes for this video just to keep it nice and short and sweet, but hopefully you will find this quite useful for your exams. So, to begin with, why do we need to use quotes? So, quotes and teachings form a key part of the RE and this is the evidence that you use to support your knowledge of each religion. The quotes, there's lots of quotes that can be used in lots of different ways. However, there are certain quotes that don't fit certain topics, and that's what we're going to focus on today. Okay? So the first quote, love your neighbour or treat people how you want to be treated. These are very, very similar quotes. They're quite interchangeable. You can see on the screen that I've said in the green section where it can be used, red sections where it can't be used. So love your neighbour, treat people how you want to be treated. They are pretty self-explanatory. It's the message that comes out of the parable of the Good Samaritan. Okay, so you can make links with that there. But it can be used quite easily for prejudice and discrimination. Okay. Victims of crime and victims of war. So how should these people be treated? Well, they should be treated how you would want to be treated. That's dead straightforward. Wealth and poverty. So the idea of if you have wealth, you are using it to help your neighbour. Okay, your neighbour isn't just Bill and Bob next door. Your neighbour is anyone worldwide. Arguments against the death penalty. Okay, so treat people how you would want to be treated, and forgiveness. Okay, areas that it can't be used. Okay, so when we look at abortion and euthanasia, so it's very, very difficult to make links between these teachings and these two topics. There are much easier, much simpler, much quicker quotes that you can use that will guarantee you their marks. Okay, so in your 5 marker, it'll guarantee you that reference to kind of scripture. Okay, such as do not kill. That is so much more straightforward in regards to abortion. So, aborting an unborn fetus or euthanasia, ending life prematurely, that is much more straightforward to use than the idea of love your neighbour or treat people how you want to be treated. Okay? They can be used, but I would advise against it because it's just a bit too difficult to explain in the timeframes given. The next quote we're going to look at, okay, do not kill, coming from the 10 Commandments. Again, there is loads of ways you can use this, okay, so we've just mentioned it in regards to abortion and euthanasia. You can use it in regards to death penalty, so the arguments against. Pacifism, so this is something you look at towards the end of year 10, the peace and conflict unit. Hate crimes, do not kill, violent protest. There's lots of different ways. There's probably more ways you can use that quote than I've actually included on that list. But one area that it can't be used, okay, is treatment of animals. So treatment of animals is something that we look at in the religion and life unit, okay? And it can't be used because where it talks about do not kill, that comes from the 10 Commandments, and that is referring to the value of human life. Animal life is not given that same value as human life. Therefore, it's not applicable to follow the 10 Commandments for animals. There are a few things that you could use instead of do not kill. So if you were coming from a Buddhist point of view, okay, you could talk about kind of ahimsa. The first moral precept is to not harm life. And for Buddhists, that is animal and human life. For a Christian point of view, okay, you could look at the idea of stewardship and the idea that humans should look after the world and care for everything that is in the world because at the end of the day, it all belongs to God. But do not kill is referring to human life, not animal life. And the final quote for us to look at today is an eye for an eye. So again, quite a straightforward quote, okay? It can be used in regards to retribution, so crime and punishment, the idea that you are punished to fit the crime, okay? Death penalty, that again, you can link that back to retribution, you can link that to an eye for an eye. War, justice, nuclear weapons, okay? Nuclear weapons is a bit kind of contentious, okay, which I'll mention in a second. So generally, an eye for an eye comes from the Old Testament, and it's something which Jesus rejects, okay? Another misconception that is common with this quote is that people then go on to say this quote, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. That's nothing to do with Christianity. That's not anything that Jesus has said. It's not written in the Bible, okay? What Jesus actually talks about when he references an eye for an eye, okay, is he goes on to say that actually, he says, you have been told an eye for an eye, but I am telling you now to turn the other cheek, okay, to not respond, to not seek revenge. So that's something that you can use, okay? It's quite an old, traditional quote from the Bible. It can be used in regards to war nuclear weapons, which is why I've put nuclear weapons in the green section. However, it needs to be very clearly explained, okay? Because it mostly goes against Christian views. In regards to Christians supporting the use of nuclear weapons, okay, it's generally not for an eye for an eye. It's generally because having nuclear weapons will help to prevent actual conflict from happening because of that mutually assured destruction concept, that concept of MAD, okay? But they shouldn't be used in revenge. Remember, if you think back to peace and conflict, one of the reasons for going to war is revenge, and Christians reject this, okay? Hopefully, this has been quite useful for you in regards to a few quotes that you can use and how you can use them. If you have any further questions, you can easily follow this up with your teacher, okay?